week going so far? My name is Alicia.
I'm Nicole.
Why don't we take a little time away from the hustle and bustle of adulting and let's indulge our curiosities just for a bit and talk about killers, psychos, and the unexplained.
Today we are venturing to Hawaii to talk about the Honolulu Strangler and Eugene Walter Barrett.
Welcome to Hawaii, home to a series of unsolved murders that occurred between May 1985 till April 1986. Although these cases are unsolved, they are attributed to the Honolulu Strangler, also known as the Honolulu Rapist. During the late 1980s, Hawaii was experiencing a series of murders and sexual assault. On May 29th, 1985, Vicki Gail Purdy was getting ready to go out clubbing with some friends in Waikiki. She is 25 years old and married to an Army helicopter pilot. She worked in an adult video store. She leaves to go out, but will not return home. Her husband, who is worried, goes out looking, finding her car parked in its usual spot, but no Vicki. Later that morning, her body was found in an embankment in Keiki Lagoon. She is wearing the yellow jumpsuit that she left home in. Her hands were bound behind her back. She had been sexually assaulted and strangled to death. Her husband believes it had something to do with her job, stating because she sold pornographic films, maybe the clientele wasn't the most wholesome going in there. But also, a year before, two of her coworkers were actually stabbed while they were at work. So he was kind of attributing maybe it was something to do with that.
Okay.
Then on January 14th, 1986, Regina Sakamoto, who was 17 and attended Lilahau High School. She missed her bus to school that day and had called her boyfriend around 7:15 to tell him that she would be late. Unfortunately, Regina would never make it there. Regina was active in school activities and she was very close to her mother. She was described as fun-loving and everyone's friend, so it was very unusual for her just to not go to school. The next day, her body was found at Keiki Lagoon, wearing her blue tank top and white sweatshirt, but her lower body was unclothed. Her hands were bound behind her back. She had been sexually assaulted and strangled to death.
So this is the same lagoon.
This is the same lagoon.
Okay.
This case started having police suspecting this must have been done by the same person. They're both so similar. But then, just 2 weeks later, Denise Hughes, who was 21 years old, and she worked at a telephone company as a secretary. She was married to a Navy serviceman who was stationed in Pearl Harbor at the time. She normally would take the bus to work, but on January 30th, 1986, she didn't show up for work. She was found on February 1st in Moanalau Stream, which actually flows into the Keiki Lagoon. She was found by fishermen, wrapped in a blue tarp. Her hands were bound, and she had been sexually assaulted and strangled to death. Okay, now police know there's a serial killer on their hands. The Serial Killer Task Force was established on February 5th, and there was 27 investigators, and they're getting straight to work. They have help from the FBI and other police forces. They're trying to profile and piece together any information that they could obtain. Then on March 26th, Louise Medeiros, a 25-year-old mother of four that was pregnant with her fifth child, was on her way to meet her family after the death of her mother. Louise boarded a flight to Oahu, telling her family she would take the bus from the airport and just come to the home. She disappeared after getting off the plane, never arriving. 1 week later, on April 2nd, her body was discovered by road workers about 12 miles from where the other girls were found. She was still wearing her blouse, but the lower half of her body was unclothed. Her hands were bound behind her back, sexually assaulted, and strangled to death. Police are now setting up sting operations, with police women as decoys, trying desperately to figure out who is doing this, what's happening. They're thinking perhaps it has something to do with the airport, because I guess the airport is near the stream, like the lagoon. So they're thinking this is all in one small area. So they're thinking, okay, if we set up some sting operations here, maybe we can get something. So they're setting up roadblocks to question the frequent commuters, anything that they may have seen.
Like they think people are flying, whoever it is flying in, doing this and leaving?
Or they're just targeting people coming from the airport, or they're targeting people along that route.
Okay.
General area. So they figure by setting up these roadblocks, the people that are frequently going back and forth through here, maybe they've seen something, but still no results. Then the fifth and fortunately, the final victim was on April 29th. Linda Peace, who was a 36-year-old mother to a young daughter. She was living with a roommate. She was working as a dancer at a nightclub. Witnesses say that evening her car had been seen on the side of the road with the hazards on, stating another vehicle had pulled up beside her, apparently to help her. The next morning, when Linda didn't show up for work, police went looking. Her car was still parked on the side of the street without Linda in it. Strangely enough, a man named Howard Gay called the police station informing them that a psychic told him a body would be located at Sand Island. On May 3rd, police went to this exact location that Howard had told them, only to find nothing there. However, on a hunch, they did a full investigation of the island, and Linda's body was found at another location. She was nude, her hands were bound behind her back with a parachute cord, sexually assaulted and strangled. Now, police did arrest Howard as a primary suspect. He had a fetish for bondage, and his ex-partners told police that they would allow him to bind their hands behind their back during their encounters. His ex-girlfriend even stated that the nights that the couple had fights and Howard would leave the house, the dates actually coincided with the dates that the girls were disappearing.
Oh.
Howard also worked as a mechanic along that Lagoon Drive, and even an inconclusive polygraph test was done. But he was eventually released. There wasn't enough evidence to tying him to the victims, and Howard never would admit guilt. Howard is still believed to be the Honolulu Strangler, even if it couldn't be linked. The murder stopped after his release, and his family said that he had ended up moving back to California and became a born-again Christian. He did end up passing away November 2nd, 2003. Police are still investigating. There's even a $25,000 reward offered for any information. They still don't have a solid answer. However, it seems Howard's pretty likely. Poor Vicky, Regina, Denise, Luis, and Linda's murders were never fully solved, leaving their families with no resolution, bringing this case to an awful end.
They didn't check his DNA with their evidence?
Apparently not.
Especially after he died?
I mean, maybe they didn't have any. I'm not sure. You think they would, 85, 86? You think they would have been taking some
kind of swabs?
Yeah.
Whew. Eugene Walter Barrett, born June 30th, 1931, in Oakland, California. He was the older of two sons to Howard and Emily Barrett. He studied at the Washington Intermediate School in Honolulu until he dropped out in the 9th grade. Barrett joined the Army and fought in the Korean War. He was dishonorably discharged in 1955 due to his excessive drinking. So he's a severe alcoholic, and that's going to be very prevalent through this story. Barrett returned to Honolulu after he was discharged. He began a romantic relationship with Annie E. Phillips, a divorcee with 5 kids. Barrett was a house painter by profession, but was drunk and unemployed, so she severed ties with him in 1959. Unable to accept rejection and enraged, Barrett decides to kill her. He goes to her home, walks in past her kids, finds her in a bedroom with the youngest, and opens fire on her. The noise alerted the neighbors, and they beat him and held him until the cops showed up. At the trial, Barrett claims to not remember since he was drunk. However, witnesses said he kept saying, "She deserved it, she deserved it." He was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. Later, it was reduced to 15 to 50 years, and in 1967, he was paroled after Governor John A. Burns commuted his minimum imprisonment to 8 years.
Wow. 8 years for murder?
Also, without a reason. No one knows why the governor did this. They don't know if he had something on him, if he's related to him. No one knew why the governor did this.
There's a reason.
Yeah, we just don't know what it is. Barrett then returns to Honolulu and marries Roberta Eulani Avero in February of 1971. She filed for divorce November 1972. So,
not even a year?
Yeah. His excessive drinking was the reason listed on the divorce papers. December 27th, he went to Hawaii Hotel and stabbed his ex-wife multiple times with a kitchen knife. Barrett waived his rights to a trial and pled guilty to a reduced sentence of manslaughter. And all I can think is they did this because he was an excessive alcoholic who was like, "Hey, I did it, but it was in the heat of passion. I was so mad at her for leaving me." That'd be like walking in on your like wife screwing the neighbor, right?
But it was premeditated.
Correct.
Anything.
But they let him do it anyways.
Oh, he went to these places to do what he did.
Correct. He didn't just walk in on.
No.
He was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment for that. He was paroled in 1976, and his parole requirements were dismissed in 1982. Yep, I know. That's not even 10 years for anyone paying attention. For the remainder, what did you
Time. This is the second time. This
Yeah, they just keep giving him a slap on the hand. I want to know, like, is he related to the president of the United States? Like, how is he getting away with all this shit?
something.
For the remainder of the 80s, Barrett resided in an apartment complex where he was peaceful but continued to drink to excess. His neighbor, Don Shia, Roxanne Kastner, who had a history of substance and sexual abuse, they allowed her to keep her son despite this, and Barrett said she was mocking him by dating other people.
Oh, that's his girl. That's his
Nope,
girlfriend.
they're not dating. She won't date him. She supposedly exposed herself to him. Friends and acquaintances said he would call worried he would hurt her. Like, he would call and be like, I'm gonna hurt her, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. One time he requested psychiatric treatment. So he like called on the phone and was like, I need help. I'm about to kill this lady. And so they did lock him up until 1995 in a psychiatric hospital. By the time he is released, she has moved across the street, which enraged Barrett. He was afraid she would leave him. Dude, she's not with you.
Yes.
You're not dating. On August 11th, 1995, just a few days after his release, he was getting drunk and saw Roxanne going into her new apartment. So he went home, got his .25 semi-automatic pistol, passed her son on the outside of the house, walked right in and found her in a room where he shot her twice in the head and left the room. After he left, her son called his dad, who called the police. She died at the hospital hours later. Barrett turned himself in peacefully the next day. Barrett had a son, or no, the son, I mean. Sorry. Back up the phone. The lady's son, his name is Ethan, testified against Barrett. Also, it had said that he was one of the youngest people to ever testify in a murder trial.
Well, that's unfortunate for him.
Yes. He wanted to remain in jail until he could be helped, so the judge took the bail away from him, and he just sat in jail until trial. Barrett was found guilty of all charges, resulting in an automatic life sentence. The judge said he had to serve 40 years before he could be paroled. After sentencing, Barrett was transferred to Oklahoma until 2003, when he was returned to Hawaii, where he fell ill and died on November 8th. So he died in prison. Barrett was the first of 3 serial killers in Hawaiian history. So he was their very first serial killer in Hawaii that they have record of anyway.
Where was the mandatory life sentences for the first 2? Dang. He's a bitch.
Well, he got a life sentence and then they reduced it and then they let him out early after that.
Yes.
And it did say in there, like, if they would have just let him be serve that whole first sentence, even after it was reduced from whatever to 50 years, if they would have just let him serve that, none of the other stuff would have happened.
No. Terrible.
It is terrible.
Well, let us finish this off with a little of the unexplained. Hawaii's cryptic creatures are known as the Night Marchers. The Night Marchers are said to be a group of ghostly warriors that roam the islands of Hawaii at night. According to legends, they are the spirits of ancient Hawaiian warriors that are on a mission to protect the islands. They appear to be wearing traditional Hawaiian clothing and carry weapons. It's said that if a person encounters the Night Marchers, they must show respect by bowing down and making sure not to look directly at them. People that have seen them report seeing a line of tall figures that carry torches, and they're dressed in Hawaiian battle armor, and they move as if they're floating, and then they just vanish. Have you ever heard or seen the Hawaiian Night Marchers? Let us know. We are interested.
No, but out of all the creatures so far, I think that would probably be the coolest to run into.
Yeah.
Well, we would like to thank you for joining us in our discoveries of Hawaii this week. Please join us next week while we travel to Illinois. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our adventures next week into killers, psychos, and the unexplained.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.